Today is the third day of the month of Teves. We are in the middle of chapter 34, discussing the laws of Tzedakah, of giving charity. Today we'll be doing paragraph 5 through paragraph 13. Paragraph 5. It's extremely meritorious that when we give Tzedakah, when we give charity, we make sure to give it in a very generous way. For example, if you're purchasing items for a synagogue, then make sure those items, if you could afford it, are nicer than the items you have in your house. You're buying chairs for synagogue, give the synagogue nicer chairs than you have in your own house. If you're actually buying food for a poor person, not so common in 2024, maybe actually with food banks, it is common, I guess. But give nicer food than you yourself eat. If you're giving clothes to somebody who needs clothing, so give them nicer clothes than you yourself wear. Doing such a thing shows they're not just doing this out of sense of obligation. I gotta do it. Let me just get away with the bare minimum. It shows now I'm excited to do as much as I could to help this person out. Paragraph 6. If someone's children are older and they're no longer officially your responsibility to take care of, and they have a hard time making ends meet, then you could definitely use your Meiser money to support them. Also, if one is taking care of their parents and their parents don't have enough money to support themselves and one is helping out their parents, for that also you can use your Meiser money. That 10% that we talked about. Now, not only that, there's a priority in terms of who do we give tzedakah to. And the closer the relative is to me, the more of a responsibility, the more of an obligation I have to take care of them. So if there's two people that I need to give tzedakah to, or at least that need tzedakah, one person is an immediate relative, another person is not a relative at all, the immediate relative becomes my primary responsibility. After that, a distant relative. After that, somebody who's not related to me at all. Therefore, a child or a parent is a first level, top level priority of who I got to give my charity to. If nobody in my family needs it, then the next level of priority is people who live in my city. They get next. And if nobody in the city needs charity, then the next level is the poor people or the destitute people of the surrounding cities, etc. Now, the Kids Shulchan Aruch warns that this is true for an individual giving his own money to charity. But if there's somebody who's in charge of a communal tzedakah fund, a communal charity fund, he is not able to give his own family members first. On the contrary, that would be utterly wrong and inappropriate. He has to make sure that he's treating all of the poor people of the community equally. Paragraph 7. When we give charity to somebody, we have to do it with a way that makes them feel good. Not in a way, not like, giving them $1 and looking away, as if you're forcing me to give you this. It's got to be with a smile. It's got to be with care. It's got to be with concern also, trying to help them feel that, I feel the pains, the troubles that you're dealing with right now. I wish I could solve it for you. I can't do that, but at least I can give you something. We're concerned not only with just giving them the cash, but also to make sure that they feel good about themselves as much as we're able to help them feel that. Paragraph 8. If an individual comes to us to ask us to give them money for themselves, then it's forbidden to say no. We don't have to give them a lot, but we have to give them at least something. It could be something very small, but we gotta give them something. If they're coming representing an organization, we can tell them no, but we cannot coming if they're representing themselves. If somebody comes to us for a handout, for charity, we're not able to make them feel bad about the situation. We're not able to tell them, you should manage your money better. We could maybe later on give them advice, find ways to get them help of managing their money, but when they come to us for a handout, that moment is not the right time to start rebuking them about how they are being irresponsible managing their money. Paragraph 9. If a person commits to give an X amount of money to charity, then they have an obligation to give that money to charity as soon as they could. They're not allowed to wait around. When they say, I'm going to give X amount of money to charity, that has a status of a vow. And vows in Judaism are very, very severe things. And if we don't give right away, we're transgressing that vow. Now, if they said, I'm going to give X amount, they pledged to give X amount to a certain organization, then they don't have to give it ASAP. Of course, it's appropriate to, but it doesn't have that vow level of, if they don't pay it right away, they transgress the vow. Rather, they have until they're billed for that pledge. At that point, they have to make sure to give it right away. A way to get around to all of this is if they say, when they make the pledge, or they say, I'm going to give X amount of money to charity, if you say, I'm giving a Belin Neder without making a vow, I'm going to give XYZ, then you don't have to worry about it having this extremely severe status of a vow. Paragraph 10. If a person says, I'm going to give this X amount of money to an individual, then you have until the individual comes to you to give that money. You don't have to worry about giving them right away. Again, of course, it's appropriate to give them as soon as you could, but this severity of transgressing a vow, that doesn't apply until the individual comes to you and now the opportunity presented themselves to give it to them. Now, what about putting money in tzedakah box? When we put money in tzedakah box, we're saying this money belongs to charity. Do you have to give that out right away? The answer is no, because when I put it in the tzedakah box, I'm not saying I'm going to give it to that charity right away. It's understood I'm going to give it in the tzedakah box, and eventually I'm going to bring my tzedakah box over to the organization I'm giving it to, or to the individual I'm giving it to, I'm going to give it to them. Therefore, since that's understood from the beginning, from the time I put the coin or the dollar bill into the tzedakah box, then there's no status of a vow that I have to make sure to take care of it immediately. Paragraph 11. One who's able to convince others, teach others about giving tzedakah, about giving charity, gets even more reward than the one that actually gives it. Fundraising is not an easy job and is justly rewarded. In addition, those that manage charity funds often get abused both by givers and also by receivers. Such a person as well will be justly rewarded. Paragraph 12. The highest form of charity is not giving money, but rather giving somebody a job, giving them a way to stand on their own 2 feet, welcoming them into your business, ensuring that they don't have to come on to a cash handout. That's the highest form of tzedakah. Paragraph 13. When one is giving tzedakah, charity, to an individual, then it's very important to try doing it, if possible, in a private way. Not only private from the public, but also private from the person you're giving it to. It's embarrassing to have to receive tzedakah, to have to receive charity. And if you have a way of giving charity in which the receiver doesn't know that's coming from you, that's unbelievably fantastic. When giving to a community, however, sometimes it's also good to keep it private, but other times it's good to make it public for 2 reasons. Number one is that, says the Kedusha Aruch, when you pass away, then this object that you gave will be a memorial for you. In addition, it's beneficial in convincing other people to give as well. If they see that the friends are giving tzedakah, it makes them want to also give tzedakah. So that's another reason why it would be very beneficial to publicize it if we're talking about giving to some sort of community fund or to an institution. This concludes today's episode. Have a wonderful day and see you on the next episode.